Hello, and welcome to the Samurai Status Game Instructions. This is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players. Several groups can play at the same time as long as each group has their own materials. And it can be used as a review or an introduction to samurai, especially during the Tokugawa period, which lasted from 1603 to 1868. To play, each group needs a copy of the game board. They also need an event deck and a question deck, right? This is an event deck, and these should be printed out two-sided, because what will happen is you can see there's a picture of that lady looking at her dog, and this image has a picture of the lady looking at her dog, and so students know to draw that card. And the object of this game is to gain status counters, and these cards can give or make you lose status counters. And the idea here is that each thing listed here, so for example, you were caught indiscriminately wearing silk clothing. Samurai were only supposed to wear silk clothing, if at all, only at certain times, right? So you could lose status if you were wearing it when you weren't high enough rank, or if you were high enough rank but wearing it at the wrong time. So each one of those cards is meant to teach students something about the rules that governed samurai during this time period and how it impacted status. You also have the image here of this samurai, and this is the questions, where there'll be questions asked here. And the key thing is that the person who lands on that space, right, you can see there's a samurai space, they should not be the one that actually draws the card. It should be someone else that draws the card, usually the person taking the next turn, and they ask the question. And that's because the correct answer is marked on the question, right? So you can see there's an asterisk there so that you know the answer here is Dejima. You could switch out your own cards if you want. And of course, the idea is that the students, they may not know this, but if they play the game multiple times, they'll keep running into the same questions. You also need markers for the players and status counters, right? So, and you may want different markers for each one so they don't get confused. But ideally, you have maybe a coin or something can represent the marker that marks each person as they go around the board, and then little plastic disc or something as the counters. You also need a 6-sided dice and maybe something to roll in. Dice that hit the floor should be re-rolled. And the basic game is if you roll dice and you go that many spaces forward, and then if you land on a space with a picture of the woman with a dog, draw a matching card and follow its instructions. If you land on a space with a picture of a man, the person who will take the next turn draws a matching card and asks you the question from it. If you answer the question correctly, take 1 status counter. And then the first person to space 31 gains 2 status counters. At that point, everyone totals up their status counters. Whoever has the most has the highest status and wins the game. And I would encourage you to encourage the students to give that person a bow. Now, an optional rule that students I found enjoyed, and that you can bring in if you think it's a good idea, is if students land on a blank space, they can challenge someone else to a game of rock, paper, scissors. And if they win, they take that person's one of their status counters. If they lose one of their status counters. And if you look at the actual play that we've posted, we have that rule. And that way something actually happens on a blank space. Now, what's also that is a catch-up mechanism, because like, let's say I don't have any status counters. And I want to point out, if you challenge someone and lose, they get one of your status counters. But if I don't have any status counters, I can challenge someone. If I win, I take one of their status counters, but I don't have any. So if I lose, they can't take any of mine. And I found that really, that was suggested by a student, and I found that it was really fun, that students like that little extra element. It keeps them engaged, and it does let you kind of keep back. And there's a little bit of strategy, right? Because if someone starts really winning, you want to challenge them and get that status counter. So if you want to add that rule that if they land on a blank space, they play rock, paper, scissors. If they have the option to challenge someone to rock, paper, scissors. If they beat that person, they gain a status counter. If they lose, that they have to give up a status counter to that person. And of course, if they don't have any status counters, they can't lose a status counter, so they're motivated to pick. But that's how you play the game. Pretty simple game.